What if you looked up tonight, and the moon was bigger? Not a little bigger. Twice as big as it was last week. And it's still growing. Still falling. Still coming straight for us. In 365 days, the moon will crash into Earth. But you won't live to see the impact. You'll die long before that. Here's exactly how, minute by minute, kilometer by kilometer, the moon unmakes our world. Right now, the moon is 384,400 kilometers away. That's far enough to fit every planet in the solar system between us and it. It orbits at over 3,600 kilometers per hour, perfectly balanced between Earth's gravity holding it close and its own velocity trying to fling it into space. This balance has held for 4.5 billion years. But the moon isn't just decoration. It stabilizes our axial tilt at 23.5 degrees, giving us seasons. It drives our tides, moving 1.1 trillion tons of water every single day. Without it, Earth's climate would swing wildly between ice ages and heat death. The moon is our silent anchor. And it's about to become our executioner. Something has changed. The moon's velocity has dropped. Earth's gravity is winning. The moon is falling toward us at a rate of 1,050 kilometers per day. You have exactly 1 year. Day 128. The moon is now 250,000 kilometers away, 35% closer than normal. You can see it. The moon fills twice the sky it used to. But you're not admiring the view. You're running. Tides that once rose 1 meter now surge to 5 meters to 16 feet, with every lunar pass. Coastal cities drown twice a day. New York, Mumbai, Shanghai, London, Tokyo. 40% of humanity lives within 100 kilometers of a coast. All of them are evacuating, or dying. Every tide cycle pushes salt water into freshwater aquifers. Drinking water for 2 billion people is now contaminated. Crops in river deltas, the Mekong, the Nile, the Mississippi, are dying from salt saturation. The food system cracks first. Within 90 days of the first mega tide, grain prices increase by 800%. Supermarkets empty. Cities burn. But the water is just the beginning. Day 264. The moon is 100,000 kilometers away. Just 26% of its original distance. The night sky isn't dark anymore. The moon reflects so much sunlight that midnight looks like dusk. You can see its surface details with your naked eye, craters, maria, mountains. It's beautiful. And it's killing everything. Tidal forces scale with the cube of distance. At 100,000 kilometers, the moon's gravitational pull on Earth is 56 times stronger than normal. The ocean isn't just rising, it's being physically lifted toward the moon. Tides now reach 30 meters, 100 feet. That's a 10-story building of water, arriving every 12 hours. But the real horror is underground. The moon's gravity is pulling on Earth's crust, stretching the tectonic plates. The Ring of Fire, home to 75% of Earth's volcanoes and 90% of its earthquakes, detonates simultaneously. Yellowstone erupts. Mount Fuji. Krakatoa. Every fault line from San Andreas to the Himalayan thrust ruptures in a cascade of magnitude 9+ earthquakes. The planet quite literally cracks open. Day 348. 18,000 kilometers. The moon is so close it fills the entire sky. It spans 20 degrees of your field of view, 40 times wider than the sun. You can't see stars anymore. Just this enormous grey wall, scarred and ancient, hanging above you like a guillotine blade. But then, something strange happens. The moon doesn't crash. It doesn't impact. It comes apart. This is the Roche limit, the point where Earth's gravity exceeds the moon's own gravitational self-cohesion. At 18,000 kilometers, the near side of the moon experiences 20% more gravitational pull than the far side. The moon is being torn apart by the difference, stretched like taffy. Cracks race across its surface at supersonic speeds. The lunar crust, 4.5 billion years old, shatters across its entire circumference in under 3 minutes. 73 quintillion tons of rock disintegrates into a debris field, chunks ranging from house-sized boulders to city-killer asteroids. But they don't fall, not yet. They spread into orbit, forming a ring system around Earth. For a few hours, the view is spectacular, a 400,000 kilometer wide ring of silver and grey, like Saturn. Then the first piece falls. Within 72 hours, Earth is surrounded by a ring system, but it's not stable. Billions of fragments, from pebble-sized to kilometer-wide, jostle and collide in chaotic orbits. The largest pieces, some the size of Manhattan, can't maintain orbit at all. They fall. And they keep falling. The first major impact hits the Pacific Ocean, a 40-kilometer-wide fragment striking at 17 kilometers per second. The impact vaporizes 12,000 cubic kilometers of water instantly. The resulting mega tsunami is 3 kilometers tall. It circles the globe 4 times in a week. There are no coastal cities left. No coasts left at all. But the ring is doing something worse. It's blocking the sun. The debris field casts permanent shadows across 40% of Earth's surface. Global temperature drops by 8 degrees Celsius in under a month. Photosynthesis collapses. Phytoplankton, responsible for 50% of Earth's oxygen, die within 3 weeks. Oxygen levels begin to fall. The atmosphere itself is being choked off. Within 6 months, Earth enters a new ice age. The surface temperature at the equator drops to -40 degrees. 99.7% of all surface life is extinct. Humanity's remaining survivors, if any exist, live underground, in bunkers, breathing canned air, waiting for the end. The ring will take an estimated 50,000 years to stabilize. Most life doesn't have 50,000 hours. But here's what nobody talks about. After 10,000 years, something unexpected happens. The ring stabilizes. The debris that's going to fall has fallen. What remains is a permanent, Saturn-like ring around Earth, silver-white, visible from every point on the planet, day and night. And it's stable. The ice begins to retreat. Oxygen levels slowly recover, not from land plants, they're long gone, but from something else. Something that was always here. In the deepest parts of the ocean, life never stopped. Hydrothermal vents, the same volcanic systems that destroyed the surface, became sanctuaries. Chemosynthetic bacteria, tube worms, blind shrimp, they never even noticed the moon was gone. They've been thriving in the dark for 4 billion years. And when the surface world ended, the deep ocean simply continued. The irony is staggering. We spent our entire existence looking up, chasing the moon, dreaming of space. But when the apocalypse came, the only survivors were the creatures that never looked up at all. The deep ocean is Earth's forgotten world, 1.3 billion cubic kilometers of water, 95% unexplored. It survived the moon's destruction. It survived every mass extinction. And it's teeming with life so alien, so impossible, that scientists still can't explain how it exists. What if you were trapped down there, 11 kilometers below the surface, in total darkness, with creatures that evolved in a world without light? That's next time on Imagine If.